thought we had cracked N'Zoth's mad whispers back in BFA. But we were wrong. They are actually about to offer their most setting-shattering revelation yet. Something is coming at the end of 9.2. Something huge. And we think we have it worked out. All this spooky cosmic lore coming out of Zereth Mortis tells us one thing. Azeroth is central. The broker cosmology chart tells us Azeroth is central. And with this new context, the Whispers of the Void do in fact tell a new story about a grand resurrection, a return of the old gods, and an apocalyptic war with the light. Azeroth has been asleep since the beginning, if we are to believe the Tauren from the previous video in this channel. Well, the hour approaches when all eyes shall be opened, and the worst bit is, we are the Trojan horse. And perhaps this is the Trojan horse for the final day of our January loot on Patreon. Smooth, right? Yeah, look, final day, right? So, I mean, hey, look at this. I think this is all our best yet. This is the Griffin pin. I freaking love this thing. Thomas has even taken to writing a meta-narrative between all of our stuff this year. You'll see it unfold. And, I mean, also, it's the Warrior card this month, which comes with a neat little stand so it can go up in your table. And, of course, there's the other A5 as well, which I don't have on me right now. If you're seeing this in February, though, well, here's a tease. It's the Serpent pin. Also, for its class card, it's going to be Bard. That stuff's still in the oven, though, so I'll show you later. But that's it, right? If you want to support what we do and get some cool loot, want to see what's up, get some early access to videos, then check out that Patreon link down below. And, who knows? We're kind of building a little world with this stuff, right? So hopefully that's something we can return to a little bit more substantially in the future. Okay, let's talk about these whispers. When it's time to do lore theories, you know what? Double down, triple down, dive in, go deep, and commit. It's the most fun. So you could just say that Azeroth is a first one. Or you could more say that Azeroth is just extremely vital to creation, to their scheme. And leaks and stuff aside, I think we can all feel some sort of awakening in the cards. If you go back over old speculation, we came across, say, this line from the Crucible of Storms. She is not the last, but the first. Drown her, and you will see. Now, obviously, look, with all of the lines we talk about today, they are written expressly to apply to multiple things. And I think, generally speaking, they try to make it so that the obvious things at the time where we get the whispers, that those are kind of red herrings. Now, we had always thought that Azeroth was the last Titan. Indeed, remember Rathian saying, defend the final Titan. But if Azeroth is not the last Titan, but is instead a first one, or maybe more than that, she's the center of the first one's creation, or if she perhaps is in fact the first Titan, or something like that, and Aman'Thul is maybe mistaken, or he's hiding something, we can't tell right now, but it's obviously something along those lines, then I think we can be pretty confident in Azeroth's awakening happening. Both the Void and an Oracle of the First Ones in Zereth Mortis kind of reference that. So, if drowning means killing her, and Zoval's attempt on her life in fact awakens Azeroth, then we will see. But you may wonder, how does this figure into Void's plan? Because all the old gods have been thwacked. Well, to be honest, the whispers that we've shown you thus far are not the only ones that have new meaning, because it looks like everything is going to plan. I remember the good old days, everyone wondering, who is her in that line? Well, we believe this is actually the Void straight up telling us their plan. Going back to the Xal'atath quote, she told us, "This land has seen so much upheaval, the cataclysm, the sundering, the scouring." And it's funny because there's so many candidates for the deaths of Azeroth. I think the Sundering, when the Well of Eternity exploded, and perhaps recently Sargeras stabbing her with Gorshlak, I think those are two solid enough candidates. That, of course, means we're, about to have the Jailer's attempt on her life happen, You could say that's somewhat her third death. I mean, even like if you look at tarot cards, like death is change. You know, death can mean so many different things. More evidence, though, comes from Ogmot's dream journal, and just to paraphrase that quirky ogre, roused by her screams, a blessing comes from the masters, a door, a path. And make no mistake, Azeroth will scream in 9.2. Zovaal will make sure of it. A path, of course, that will open up in Zereth Mortis, and you may then think, what is at the end of that path? Well, sadly, for us, it's a new plan, but I do think it's a very old outcome. Total void domination of Azeroth. And yes, Zovaal, we know, directly assaults Azeroth herself. Azeroth will scream. Ties straight into that line. When talking about our, scramble to take the Azerite from Silithus, Ogmot wrote, "Let them have these drippings. Soon Ogmot gonna drink rivers of blood." I think that's the promise of Void to its faithful. One day they will drink the rivers of First One or Azeroth blood, whatever it is that pumps through the planet. Because remember, Void sees all futures. We know this. It can't exactly tell them between each other. It can't exactly know which will come to pass, but it can scry forward. It has access to future timelines that we don't. And that does include all the timelines that Zovaal is involved in, meaning everything Zovaal does can be counted into Void's plan. But of course, these are all big characters. What about you and me? I always wondered why the Void was so confident in telling us Death's plans. Seriously, we got so much context about Anduin or Sylvanas from the Void. But now it makes sense. It wasn't Death's plan. Well, it was Death's plan, but of course, Void was able to access Death's plan because of the inherent powers of Void, and therefore work Death's plan into its own. And that means that you and me are the linchpin of the whole thing. They've known our actions far ahead of time. And, well, listen.
5 keys to open our way. 5 torches to light our path.
Those sigils are supposed to embody all the covenants are. They're supposed to be beacons of their purpose. Well, I think they're a bit more. If Zereth Mortis is the grand revival of Void, or something like that, then the 5 sigils Zovaal has been collecting are the keys. They're keys to Zovaal, and they're keys to the Void. And remember, this doesn't have to explosively happen at the end of the patch and mark the beginning of WoW's next expansion, a grand light Void invasion. It could be that, but if we really think the next expansion is going to be Dragon Isles in nature, then I need you to only remember the Emerald Nightmare, where we carried a little bit of Void in, and we left it there. We left it there in Legion, and it blossomed in battle for Azeroth. Okay? So, whatever we carry into Zereth Mortis, we're going to leave something behind. And we are, of course, carrying a gift. Remember that. I'll talk about the gift in a little. Now, we constructed 5 further sigils. Of course, Zovaal got his 5 sigils, opened his way to Zereth Mortis. Then we constructed 5. In a way, it's almost like we are the torchbearers, bringing them into the depths of Zereth Mortis. The problem, of course, is that gift I mentioned, the gift of N'Zoth. That choice has got to be meaningful if Blizzard have any salt as storytellers. They let players accept the gift of N'Zoth after proving themselves worthy to Unat in BFA. And at no point canonically has that really been dealt with at all. Those same players, you and me, are going to ruin it for everyone else by taking the gift of N'Zoth into Zereth Mortis. In Zereth Mortis, the jailer has the Worldkiller iris. Yeah, it's actually a trinket, and its description is this: a living symbol of despair born by the nemesis of a doomed eternity. And it's actually a direct mirror of the text on the heart of Azeroth, which says, "A living symbol of hope born by the champions of a dying planet." And what's funny is the flavor text for both of them end with, "The fate of Azeroth will be shared by all her children." And it even, it looks like the Focusing Iris ability. It's a mirror of the heart of Azeroth, and Zovaal has it. Come on. Now, I think that speaks to huge connections between Azeroth, the Jailer, and of course Zereth Mortis. But it also confirms the importance of the heart of Azeroth in the Shadowlands. And now I want you to think back on whispers such as this.
Her heart is a crater, and we have filled it. Its surface blazes bright, masking shadows below.
The crater has been filled with void, its shadow somehow masked. I think we're bringing, whatever it is, we're bringing into the First One's engine. Remember, the reason why our characters are Maw Walkers is because of our connection to Azeroth, which was all via the heart. That's literally why we didn't get thwacked in the intro experience of Shadowlands. There's something going on with this heart of Azeroth, and I mean, we sort of, us with our connection to the heart, we go to the First One's engine. It's the thing pumping these rivers of blood that Ogmot is going to get at the hour of her third death. Everything is shaping up the way that Void wants it. Azeroth is the first one. Does that mean a first one or the first one? Relating to the Titans and some essential role they have in how the whole cosmos works. All this stuff's still kind of hard to believe, to be honest with you, but that's really because it's so huge. I mean, the lore background and what Blizzard have been doing is very clear. It just feels so big it's hard to wrap your head around. It kind of redefines everything we thought about her. I mean, not to get roasted in the comments, but there is a little bit of this changes everything energy going on. I think we need to have a sit down and consider everything we thought we knew. On that journey, we're still figuring out a few old whispers, but we'll tell you our thoughts now, and perhaps you can tell us, your interpretation down in the comments. We keep going back to this one, about the great victory that went unnoticed. It had something to do with Argus. We now know Argus's essence was supposed to go into the shell of the Arbiter, right? That was really important for Zovaal. He wanted that to happen. But Ogmot believed it was a victory that went unnoticed for his side, for Void. And we know that Void already basically knows what Zovaal's up to. So perhaps it just confirms that the Jailer's plan was actually playing into Void's hands all along. Again, this.
From the earth he draws strength. Our earth. Our strength.
This could be about Magni, but I think it could also be Void claiming ultimate ownership over Azeroth. They're so assured of their plan that, all this First One's magic, whatever is pumping through the planet, it is actually theirs. But I feel a deeper significance sort of yet to find. Also this.
When the arrow finds its mark, the last fetter will fall away.
I used to think this was a reference to N'Zoth's prison, or perhaps Sylvanas' fight with Bolvar at the beginning of the Shadowlands. The fetters were somehow to do with the Jailer, but it could have a double meaning, an additional meaning perhaps, that it could be to do with the Void Lord's return, the Old God's return, whatever. The Sylvanas maybe sticks the Jailer with one final arrow, killing him. Perhaps, we obviously have no idea how that big end of 9.2 cinematic will go, but all of these things could still be in play. At this point, I think we have just got to be confident of the Void's return. I mean, think about what Blizzard recently just added to Velen's character bio on their official website. Then, it helps that Christy Golden kind of confirmed the old gods would be back on Twitter. Now that said, if you read things in a certain way, you may even think that it's not just Void that's coming back, it actually could be all of them, based on the Oracle. Could be that Azeroth will awaken every cosmic force.
Mortis, Lumen, Ordus, rhythm and structure. Vitae, umbra, tumult, improvisation and possibility.
What a time. Right, I'm going to close this video with what I think is, well, just one of the most fundamental whispers of the Void.
You will never be rid of me.
That's from Il'gynoth and Ny'alotha. The Titans couldn't do it. No matter how deep we delved into the Emerald Dream, there was always another seed of corruption to be found. We blasted N'Zoth with pure Azerite. But even based on interviews with Blizzard, we're fairly sure that just sent him back to his home plane. In a way, it could have freed his essence from its fleshy home in Azeroth in a prison. They may have been out of sight and out of mind, but we're never going to be rid of the bastards. And I think that's what's going to be happening. Of course, you know, we're going to probably weave some Elune in here. Maybe Urel's going to come up. It's going to be a whole big time. But anyway, Void, it's in play. And just this thing of these N'Zoth whispers makes you think a lot about Azeroth's place in the universe. And obviously that's been a theme in our channel for the last while because it's what we have been interested and fascinated by. And there we have it. So, you gotta check out the video we put up before this one on the Tauren myths, because, man, it's just some crazy stuff. So, check out that video. Obviously, if you're watching this and it's currently the 31st of January, bam! Check out Patreon. Of course, there's also the third card as well. You'll get the Griffin pin and this bad boy and that other card with a little bit of... Thomas wrote some prose and I really like it. Of course, if it's February, there is the February loot. Serpent. Yum yum. Plus more. So check it out down below. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.